Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for coming today. My name is Sarasota County Sheriff Kurt Hoffman. I want to talk to you about an animal cruelty case that has garnered a significant amount of attention, not only in this community, this state, but even outside the state of Florida. We are getting calls and questions about this case. So I want to talk to you a little bit about what we've been doing since August 11th, and certainly give you an opportunity for questions. First, I want to introduce Andrew Van Sickle from the State Attorney's Office. He is the prosecutor of their Animal Abuse Unit and has been working with our personnel to manage this case. I first want to talk a little bit about the criticism that the Sheriff's Office and I think the State Attorney's Office has got. We have spent a significant amount of time on this case. This was not something that we did not work diligently on. I know this goes all the way back to August 11th when this incident with this raccoon that we're going to talk about occurred, but we have been working diligently. Many search warrants, looking at digital evidence, taking phones, interviewing witnesses. We had to make a trip to Tampa to actually get video feed off of a server in Tampa. We've spent a significant amount of time working on this case. It's obviously a heinous case and very troubling on a lot of levels. I also want to mention for the folks that are following this media event, the Animal Services section of the Sarasota County Sheriff's Office has been around since 1994. The Sheriff's Office has run that since 1994. We've done an extensive amount of animal abuse cases over the years with the help of the State Attorney's Office, prosecuted them. We've got over 35 men and women in the Animal Services Unit to dedicate themselves to taking care and looking after and working these types of cases. So we are completely capable of conducting this investigation and have done a very thorough investigation. Our Animal Service Unit also has 5 sworn personnel. We have law enforcement officers embedded in that Animal Services Unit for the occasion such as this, when we need to actually execute warrants, make physical arrests, and collect evidence. So the incident in question occurred on August 11th, 2022. As I mentioned, we've been securing video, gathering evidence, serving those search warrants. And after a very thorough investigation, we have actually arrested Alicia Kinchlow and Roddy, R-O-D-D-Y, Kinchlow. What we believe has occurred in this particular case, Alicia Kinchlow videotaped a raccoon that was in a dumpster. In the video, it did not appear to be aggressive. Roddy Kinchlow, who is Alicia's father, is believed to have stabbed the raccoon that was in the dumpster with a pitchfork and left the raccoon in the dumpster for dead. They went to lunch. Came back from lunch and saw that the raccoon was still alive, and then proceeded to put some type of flammable liquid in the dumpster on the raccoon and lit the raccoon on fire. There is a second video of Roddy Kinchlow actually hosing down the dumpster and putting the raccoon out. It was deceased at that point, and Alicia Kinchlow actually took the raccoon and goes off camera and disposes of the body. So we have a charge of tampering with evidence against Alicia Kinchlow for taking the body out of the dumpster, and we don't know where that is at, but it's on video being removed from the dumpster. There was a claim by Ms. Kinchlow and Mr. Kinchlow that there was water in the gasoline jug, not gasoline. Our deputies have indicated that confirmed it was a flammable liquid that was in that can. This is obviously just a sick, terrible thing to do. It is a third-degree felony, aggravated animal cruelty, punishable by 5 years in prison and a whole host of other sanctions. We've taken this seriously and charged those felony counts, including the tampering with the evidence, because we just think this is a cruel, inhumane thing to do. It certainly matches up with aggravated animal cruelty under the statute, which deals with significant pain and suffering of the animal, and we think that it meets those requirements. As I mentioned, this investigation has taken a while just because we had to gather all of this information and get these warrants signed by a judge. We're not in the business of doing things fast. We're in the business of trying to do things right and bring justice where it needs to be brought when animals are abused. And I believe that's what we've done in this case, and we'll now hand it off to our partners at the State Attorney's Office who've been very successful in their animal abuse unit that they have there. I'm happy to take any questions that you may have. I can also say that Alicia Kinchlow does not have any criminal history. Her father, Roddy, does have a fairly extensive criminal history, what you would expect of, kind of a scumbag that would do this to an animal. Has drugs, prostitution, domestic violence, contempt of court, all the things you would expect to see somebody who did a heinous crime such as this. So with that, I'll certainly open it up to any questions.
Sheriff Hoffman, when you saw that video and that you watched it, just kind of what went through your head at that moment?
Yeah, it's just a cruel, inhumane thing to watch. But I will tell you, in this business, we see a lot of man's inhumanity towards their fellow man and towards their animals, unfortunately. But this to see an animal essentially burned alive and have Alicia making comments over the video, we roasted his ass, is anybody hungry, things like that, is just the mind of a sick individual.
Can you talk about how that video evidence really helped, and can you talk about the means that they went through to kind of destroy some other evidence as well?
Certainly. So social media, they put a lot of stuff out on social media. Obviously, we got calls. We were able to preserve some of that, capture some of that, and I think we're going to make that video, if we haven't already, available to you. But it's an important tool for us. There was also some video surveillance. As I mentioned, the body of the raccoon comes out of the dumpster. Alicia goes off camera, and we don't know where that body is at. So that's where the tampering charge comes from. So there is a significant amount of evidence in this case, and the detectives and deputies in the State Attorney's Office have worked very hard on the case.
What would your message be to other folks who think this is okay and they can get away with it?
Yeah, that's an easy message. I mentioned to you that we've been running animal services in this county since the mid-'90s. We take that very seriously, whether it's our agricultural unit or whether it's domestic animals or a raccoon such as this. If you do it, we are going to bring all the power of the Sheriff's Office to bear in an investigation, in which we have done. And fortunately for us, in the 12th Judicial Circuit, we have a specific animal abuse unit in the State Attorney's Office. This is the wrong place to do a crime like that.
Have you dealt with anything like this involving a raccoon in the past?
I haven't, but I think, as many of you know, I was a prosecutor for 8 years, and I had my fair amount of animal abuse cases. In a population this large, there's always individuals that are kind of sick-minded and take out whatever frustrations they have on animals. It's a weak mind and a weak individual that does that, but we do run into these cases from time to time, for sure.
And I know you mentioned, she said there was water in that tank or that was poured on the animal. Did they have any other motive behind doing something like that?
So the motives, when they were arrested, they both invoked their constitutional rights, so we don't know what the motivation was. I would speculate that it was just pure entertainment value based on the commentary that they were making when they were doing this to this animal, which makes it even more heinous and just sick.
Can you talk to, I know 5 years, up to 5 years in prison. Some people may say that's not a lot, but I know underneath the animal felony law, the state of Florida is one of the only states that has this law. Can you just talk about how important it is that it shows?
Well, sure. So we charged, obviously, the highest charge that we could charge, and we charged the tampering as well. And, Mr. Roddy's criminal history will probably come into play. I see 7 felony arrests, 6 misdemeanor arrests in terms of what Mr. Van Sickle's office would offer, or, post-trial would be the sentence. But obviously, a third-degree felony is a serious offense, as it should be, and we've charged that on both individuals.
Can you talk about why his mugshot was from a hospital bed?
Sure. So during the course of his arrest, he is alleged to have had a medical condition and was taken to the hospital. And if you notice, his photo is basically him at the hospital, as opposed to a standard booking photo. I don't know the specifics of his medical condition, nor do I really care. That's why his booking photo looks the way it does.
And I think for anyone who watched that video, it's disturbing to see. Is there anything, as the sheriff, you would want them to hear from you, these 2 individuals that are accused of doing this?
They're about to get the full force of the Sarasota County Sheriff's Office and the State Attorney's Office on them for what they've done, and they will be held accountable.
And did this happen in a public dumpster, or was it a dumpster near their home?
Yeah, I believe it was a dumpster behind some businesses. There was a food truck nearby. I don't think it was like a residential type situation. Any other questions? Thank you all very much for covering this. It's important. Thank you.
When you sent it out?
I sent out before you guys got here. I printed these releases to you guys.
Print it out.
Yeah.